Something that haunts people is after they leave an abusive situation filled with a lot of betrayal, they'll ask themselves, why did I stay with that person so long when all of the signs are right there? And this question can start to spiral into self-blame and regret if we're not careful in how we approach it. But here's what I've learned. The reason why asking this question is valuable isn't because of the specific answers that you'll get, but it's an opportunity to understand yourself better and give yourself compassion so you can move forward with wisdom. The truth is there's no single reason people stay in destructive relationships. It's usually a whole complex web of factors, some conscious, some unconscious, some rational, some emotional. And understanding these factors isn't about excusing the situation, and it's also not about justifying your past choices. It's about developing self-awareness so you can make different choices moving forward. So at its core, staying often reflects something beautiful about who you are, your capacity for hope, forgiveness, and commitment. You saw potential where others might have only seen problems. You believed that love could heal, that people could grow, that broken things could be restored. And that's not just being naive, that's a reflection of deep human values. The very qualities that kept you in a harmful relationship, loyalty, patience, the ability to see the best in people, are some of the qualities that make for the best relationships too. It's just that you applied the right qualities in the wrong context. You stayed because you believed in redemption and second chances, in the power of commitment to transform both people. I know a lot of religious people who stay a lot longer than they should because their faith compels them to believe in redemption. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Again, it's just the context is a bit off. Maybe you thought if you just loved them enough, tried hard enough, forgave one more time, something would shift. As if you could be Jesus Christ for them. Like you see the pain of my sacrifice for you, and suddenly you'll come around. And that does work sometimes. So you maybe have seen it modeled somewhere, but it's not at all the standard. It's not at all normal. But you were holding on to a glimpse of who they could be, moments when they showed you the person that you fell in love with, who you hoped that they were the whole time or deeper down. And maybe those moments weren't even illusions. Maybe there was some truth to it, but they weren't the whole picture. And hoping they would become the whole picture kept you stuck in a situation that slowly just wore you down over time. A second reason why you might have stayed longer than you should have is it was just your mind, your body, your nervous system protecting you in the only way that it knew how. Sometimes our brain just associates that familiar pain is better than the unknown. Known pain is better than the unknown. When betrayal and affection alternate in an unpredictable pattern, it creates a psychological addicting dependency that makes leaving actually feel more dangerous than staying. Because you start to believe that that person is the only one that will give you that type of affirmation in the hard times of life. Your nervous system actually starts to crave that intensity and thinks that it needs it. The highs feel better because of the lows, and the relief after conflict can feel like love. Your brain might have started to interpret leaving as abandonment, not just for them, but for you. Like you would be abandoned by leaving them. If you learned early on in life that love comes with conditions, chaos, or inconsistency, then a relationship without those elements might have felt unfamiliar and therefore unsafe. What I'm trying to say is that your nervous system was just trying to keep you in what it considered normal, even when that normal was slowly destroying you. So you weren't weak or stupid. Some of it is just a victim of our own human psychology. Third, you might have been someone that's very rational, analytic, and you just drew up a pros and cons list. The mental calculation. When you start to think about the energy required to start over, the financial implications, the social disruption, the uncertainty of being alone, sometimes it's like, are they really that bad? It's just every now and then, without realizing how much of a toll it was really taking on you. Leaving a long-term relationship means grieving not just what was, but what you hoped it could become. It means admitting that years of your life were spent in a situation that wasn't serving you. It means facing the practical realities of untangling lives that have become intertwined. Finances, living situations, social circles, maybe children. So there's a sunk cost fallacy here when you're building out that pros and cons list too. The idea that you've already invested so much time and energy, and walking away means all of that was wasted. But staying in a situation that's harming you is actually what wastes that investment. Because there were things that you accrued in that time, personality traits, skill sets, experiences, that you will still take with you. So to view the whole thing as a waste and worthy of staying in a toxic situation just doesn't make sense. Sometimes the fear isn't just about being alone. It's about facing who you've become and who you really are while trying to make the relationship work. And you just don't want to face those parts of yourself. And so when you tally all those up, it's like, man, it would just be easier to stay instead of having to deal with all of this. Another reason why you might have stayed is due to internal programming. Many of us carry unconscious patterns about what love is supposed to look like based on early experiences we had in life. So if chaos, intensity, or inconsistency felt familiar, you can start to mistake dysfunction for passion. Your brain kept running the same mental movie because that's all that it knew, but it was expecting a different ending each time. So for example, if your early experiences taught you that love requires sacrifice of self, that drama is intimacy, or that you need to earn affection through endurance, then a healthy relationship might actually feel boring compared to that. You might have learned that conflict is normal, that jealousy means someone cares, that you need to fight for love to make it real. These aren't really conscious beliefs for most people. They're usually embedded patterns that you picked up from somewhere else, and it just shapes how you see a situation, how you feel in the thick of an argument. So for example, every time that your partner showed remorse after betraying you, your brain might have said, oh, that's proof that they love me, not proof that they're abusing me. Or every time they come back after a huge fight and threatening to leave, your internal programming might have registered that as some type of victory instead of the manipulation that it was. So how can you start to move forward? Here are a couple of suggestions. Number one, you need new non-negotiables. So right now, today, maybe you could write or journal about this afterward. Decide what you will and won't accept in relationships moving forward. This doesn't have to be rigid, but have them be standards, have them be expectations. Make them as specific or as generic as they need to be. And when someone shows you who they are, whether they meet those standards or not, believe them. It's not about creating an impossible checklist for future partners. It's just getting clear on the fundamental requirements for your own emotional and physical safety. That might include honesty about where they are and who they're with, respect for your boundaries even when they disagree, consistency between words and actions, the ability to take responsibility for their mistakes without blaming you. Just start with the basics, like what behaviors are you absolutely unwilling to tolerate? They might seem very basic as you start to write them down, but that's important to do because you haven't actually been treating those as non-negotiables up until now. What patterns of communication are you not willing to tolerate? Some people might be fine dealing with someone that has a little bit of gaslighting tendencies. They can see it, spot it, identify it. Maybe you recognize, no, I fall for it every time. I need someone that's going to be very honest with me and not stoop to that level. And then go deeper. So what do you actually want in a relationship? Not just the absence of problems, but the presence of positive qualities. Do you want someone who celebrates your successes? Someone you can have difficult conversations without attacking your character? Someone who makes you feel more like yourself, not less, like you have to adapt to them. The key is making these standards non-negotiable while remaining somewhat open to how they could be fulfilled. It will look different relationship to relationship, but you don't want to be tricking yourself either. And then as you're leaving the situation and as you're figuring out what you want, kind of hypothetically, theoretically with your standards, you need to also address the pattern of what happened, not just the person. So don't just leave the situation, but understand what kept you stuck in it. What warning signs did you rationalize away? What needs were you trying to meet through this relationship that could be met in healthier ways? Understanding your own patterns prevents you from just creating them again with someone else. This is where the real work really happens. It's one thing to identify a toxic partner. It's a whole other thing to understand what parts of you were drawn to them and why you stayed. Look at the early warning signs you dismissed. Maybe they were inconsistent with communication from the beginning. Did you find it exciting? Did you feel like you didn't deserve the truth? Like, what was going on there? What needs was this relationship meeting, even in its dysfunction? Did the intensity make you feel special? How else can you feel special? Did taking care of them make you feel needed? How else can you feel needed? Did the drama make you feel alive? How else can you feel alive? These aren't shameful motivations, they're human needs, so just find other ways to fulfill them so that you don't need that from your partner. And especially so you don't need it from your partner in an unhealthy way. The goal is to understand your own psychology well enough that you can catch yourself before falling into similar patterns with someone else. And part of healing is going to require rewiring your emotional responses. So if your brain did find chaos and dysfunction something familiar, something normal, well, now you need to write a new story, write new programming. That might mean therapy, might mean meditation, might mean consciously practicing new responses. The goal is teaching your nervous system that peace and happiness are something you deserve and something you can trust. And this is probably the most important and the most challenging step because it involves changing how your brain automatically responds to things. If your nervous system learned to associate love with anxiety, calm with boredom, or conflict with connection, you'll need to work on putting together new associations. And most of this is happening at the unconscious level as well. That's the majority of the work that I do with my clients, figuring out what is all this stuff 3, 4, 5, 6 layers deeper than what's going on the surface. But practically, what can you do now? Practice sitting with calm feelings without creating drama to disrupt them. Practice receiving kindness without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Practice healthy conflict resolution without escalating to crisis. Your brain needs evidence that safety and love can coexist. And as you're doing this, like, community is important. Whether it's a professional or a trusted friend, you need at least one person that you can bounce ideas off occasionally to help you assess what's really going on. If you think that you're falling into the same pattern again, you just want someone that you can share that with. They can hear it and share their input on whether they think it is happening again or not. Someone that you can share, okay, this is kind of a yellow flag in my mind. Do you think I'm overreacting? Do you think it's actually a red flag? Etc. But be careful who you choose for this role. There are people who are going to just tell you what you want to hear. And then there are also people that are going to be needlessly negative. Find someone that actually can see and appreciate the gray for the gray, the yellow for the yellow, and isn't just going to jump to extreme definitive answers. Typically, friends who have good relationships will be better at this than those that are either not in a relationship or are always in chaotic relationships. And then at some point, start shifting the question from why did I stay so long, and start asking, what do I want my life to look like now? The energy you spend analyzing the past, though necessary to some level, is going to keep you from investing in building something better. Honor what you learn from it, change from it, then direct your attention toward what you're creating. And so get specific about what you want your future to look like. And this is important. Don't have it just be about the relationships, but in every area of your life. What kind of person do you want to become? What experiences do you want to have? What brings you joy outside of romantic relationships? What dreams did you put on hold that you can now pursue? What friends outside of romantic friendships are you wanting to have a deeper friendship with? What hobbies have you abandoned that you want to pick up again? One of the goals here should be to build a life that's so fulfilling that you would never consider settling for less than you deserve again. And remember, the years you spent in that cycle weren't wasted. They taught you something essential about your own capacity for love and your need for respect. Use both of those to build relationships that honor both. Your staying showed the depth of your heart. Your leaving shows your strength, but both were necessary. The question shouldn't stay at simply, why did I stay so long? The question is, now that you know better, what will you do differently? That's where your power lies. That's where your healing can begin.